It's funny. I guess I just don't really like talking about myself much. And you're going to ask me questions about myself.
No, I get that.
And I would rather.
I love being back here. Yeah, it's very comfortable.
Yeah, I don't know. It's not that I don't want people to get to know me or anything. It's just.
Right.
My name is Matt Walley. I am definitely back. I left for a couple years. I mean, pandemic was sort of the beginning of. I needed a break. I got married in 2019. Pandemic hit, a few months later, and it seemed like a good time to take a break. And I spent some time with my wife, and that was great. And yeah, I must have just talked to Joe and Cindy at some point and said, "What's going on?" And they said, "Would you like to be in some shows?" And I said, "Of course I would," because it's time. It feels good and ready to be. I feel sort of reinvigorated. I think sometimes, there have been times in my career where maybe I get a little cynical about the theater or just things, just the process or just whatever reason, because it's hard. It takes a lot of energy, stuff.
Yeah.
So I think maybe the break was good, and I'm feeling like really not only grateful to just be alive and to see people alive and out, but to be just sitting, in this room and going, yeah, it's gonna feel good to be doing that thing,
Yeah. What did you want to be when you grew up?
Let's see. One of my favorite shows when I was growing up was Three's Company. I loved John Ritter and Jack Tripper, his character. And I wanted to be a chef for a long time. And then I think I wanted to be a fireman. I don't know. And then I probably didn't think about it until senior year of high school.
Yeah.
I'll tell the story and then you can edit this out if you want to. But this is how I got into theater. I think it's kind of funny, but I was playing football, kind of hurt my knee. It wasn't really a thing. I was a little bit of a late bloomer, right? So at 15, I was not in football. I wasn't ready for football, but I really wanted to play football. So I hurt my knee, and it wasn't going as well as I thought. And so I was just at home, and my mom said, "Well, you're outgoing. Why don't you go audition for the play?" And I was like, there's no way. I don't care about the theater. I mean, they had taken us to go see plays, and I thought that was fun. Like once or twice a year we would go to see something.
But you weren't going to a play as a kid, and your life was changing.
No,
you're like, this is stupid.
No, I just wanted to go to the restaurant and get like chicken Kiev afterwards, and just it was entertaining, and it was a way to just spend some time. No, I don't know when I ever thought, oh, I'm going to be an actor. I think maybe I'm still deciding that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well, one day I was walking by the theater, right?
Yeah.
And I looked in, and they were having auditions for a play. And I saw that there were way more girls in the theater than in the football team. And honestly, that was a big motivator.
Yeah.
So I auditioned and got the lead role. I thought it was a good way to spend the time, I guess. I think I did one other play, then I did some other stuff, and then by the time I had to go to college, I just put I'll study theater.
Right.
I thought Shakespeare was stupid. I hated it. I hated Shakespeare so much. But I was, just kind of a dumb kid from the Midwest, just a meathead that didn't really know what else to do. So
did that change at all while you were in that program? Your attitude or your perspective?
Yeah. As a matter of fact, it was the Shakespeare class that we had to take, and I was playing Orlando. Is it Orlando, right? The guy that writes poetry? Yeah. Well, and here we go. Maybe this is a trend. But then the girl I was working with thought it was really cool that I went and because I didn't understand the Shakespeare language, right? But then I was like, okay, I'm going to get this. Because the girl I was working with was super smart. So I got one of those books, the C.T. Onions probably, and I translated the whole thing, and I got it. I knew what I was saying, and at one point during one of the rehearsals, she was like, "Oh, I'm not really sure what this is," and I told, I was like,
"Oh, I can tell you."
I was like, "Yeah, well, that means this," and she was like, "Oh," and I was like, "Mm-hmm." Just knowing that I had the capacity to figure that out, and that it wasn't really above and beyond it gave me a lot of confidence, I think. Then I started to go, okay, I think this is something I want to keep digging into. I had more of an affinity towards the movement. So I took movement classes in college, like Alexander Technique. We had a class called Animals, where like for a semester you just acted like animals. Environment, you know what I mean? You'd be fire or water, just all this stuff. Yeah, I mean it was pretty wild actory kind of training stuff, but I dug it. My teacher at the time said, "Oh, you should go check out this Del Arte place." So I sent away for the brochure. I mean, that's how long ago this is, right? They sent me a brochure, and it wasn't until 10 years later that I finally went, because I wanted to get an MFA. At the time, they didn't have a master's program. It was a one-year program. Okay. Well, about 10 years later, they were offering a master's program. So I was the 5th class, I think, to graduate from there with a master's. I like to engage in things. I feel like physically first, and then my brain catches up.
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily just about the character, but it's also in response to all of the other characters, you know? Yeah. And, you know, like listening, just engaging, even if it is a totally cerebral monologue, or you're engaged in the language, if you're being physical, I think you're able to communicate a lot more.
Yeah.
You know, I love engaging with an audience, and clowns get to do that.
Yeah.
You know, who did I play in King Lear? I always get Edmund and Edgar mixed up. Edmund.
I think it's Edmund.
Yeah. So even, you know, and so in Shakespeare, he's not. I mean, to be physical in a Shakespeare show is not like, it's not antithetical.
Right.
It is what he wanted to take some of those like soliloquies, go out to the audience. I love that. It's something I've gotten pretty good at. I can look somebody. I don't think they like it so much. The person I'm picking on, they don't like that much. If I'm looking at them, everybody else does though. They're just glad that it's not them.
that is like the exact alchemy of that.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, but I enjoy that. I really enjoy like in getting, not necessarily in somebody's face at all, but really talking to people.
Yeah.
I like also not doing that. You know, I take my glasses off every performance so that I can't actually see everybody looking at me.
Yeah, that's a superpower.
It's awesome. Yeah. People are always telling me, like, well, why don't you put contacts? And I'm like, I don't, you know, like, I don't necessarily, you know, want, because if I can see them, I will look at them. This way I can just sort of, I can be just in this world.
Yep.
And not, you know, if need be.
Yeah. What was your first experience acting at the Rogue, and what was it like?
Let's see. The first show I did here was Major Barbara. What was his name? Johnny Walker? No, not Johnny Walker. Something Walker. Bill Walker.
Was that? I vaguely remember you being like some sort of like. Like a military scientist? Or you had a bomb or a rocket or something? Am I making that up?
No, that was, but okay, so I played 2 characters.
Okay. Yeah.
That was the character that I had like 3 lines, so I'm glad that's the one that stuck with you. The other one was a major part of the play. But, you know, I tend to play, here I think I tend to play either like funny, quirky characters, or, you know, I do sort of like to play the bad guys. Yeah. But then the play that was good. I mean, I enjoyed that play. But then right after that was As I Lay Dying, and those adaptation type plays have definitely been some of my favorites here. Yeah. As I Lay Dying, Moby Dick, obviously, I think that might be one of my favorite plays I did here. Grapes of Wrath, you know, hugely movement based, ensemble based plays. That were it's just so fun to work on it. Yeah. There's no prescription. Right. There's no there's nothing that came before it necessarily. You're making it all up and trying to tell these huge stories, and those have been really fun. So As I Lay Dying was definitely I was like, okay, this place is a good, you know, I'm fitting in to this place for sure.
Yeah, your tools really apply.
Yeah.
Is Tucson a good place to live and work as a theater artist?
That's a good question. I always say I have been very lucky here.
Yeah.
I don't know if it is.
Yeah.
I have been able to cobble together a lot of work here. And, I feel very fortunate. I was a stuntman at Traildust Town. That was like where I started.
That's right.
And then I worked at Live Theater Workshop, did a bunch of shows there, helped start Et Cetera there. And then came back, and then I went to Del Arte, and then I came back and worked again as a stunt performer for a while. And then have been here and gone a couple times, I think, over the last 12 years. Did the Oaf over at Scoundrel and Scamp, thank you. So with that, and then some of the teaching gigs I've been able to get, being a teaching artist here, I feel like it's been good for me. Because a lot of people have asked me, it's a question I get a lot. There was a time when it was like, well, why are you in Tucson? Or why aren't you going to New York? Or why aren't you going to LA? And I went to New York for a year. And I got a job right away with a fantastic theater company. Within 2 days, I was working at a theater company called Mabu Mines, making money, doing great work. And I thought, I got New York down,
Yeah.
I was sitting at a coffee shop, another girl-related thing, but I was sitting at a coffee shop, my first day there, waiting to go into you don't mind if I indulge you in some
No,
of these?
please do.
Okay. Waiting to go into a job interview for like a vet tech. Because I just had no freaking idea what to do.
Yeah.
And there was a girl sitting there, and I said, oh, she was reading Hamlet. I was like, oh, Hamlet, good play. That's literally what I said. And she
Reviewed by Matt Walley.
Yeah, exactly. And so she kind of laughed, and I was like, I'm a theater person. I just moved here. What's going on? And she was like, oh, I'm assistant directing Lee Brewer at Juilliard or wherever the hell he taught, Brown, whatever it is, some big school. And then they're also looking for some people for the show that they're doing. If you go to this place tomorrow at this time, tell them I sent you, and this lady will set you up. And I was like, sure.
Sure thing.
So I went to the vet tech thing, and that was a bust. So stupid. They had me work for like 8 hours and paid me $0 just to like lift sick dogs onto a table. So I was like, okay, I'm going to this I went to this place at this one time. I met this lady, and she said, yeah, okay, you start tomorrow. And I met some of my best friends ever during that show, and I really thought I had it. And so I was fine. I was living in New York, going out to eat, doing good. But then when that was over, that's when I went, oh, most of those people that I was working with don't give a shit about me now. They're onto their other.
Right.
They're onto their other things. No harm, no foul. There's no reason for them to. Everybody's got their own thing. That's the way theater business is.
Yeah.
But then I was spending money on getting headshots, and I was spending money on getting this, and I was spending money on this, and then I was sending it all away, and I'm going to those studios to audition, and nothing is happening. And I thought, oh, so I could either be like in a place like Tucson and work all the time, or I can be here and my job is trying to get work.
Right.
That's why I like it here.
Yeah.
But again, I think I've been lucky.
Do you have a favorite part of the rehearsal process?
I've never done that before in my life.
Well, I got it on camera now, Wally.
Favorite part of the rehearsal process? Yeah. To this day, when we have to introduce ourselves around the table, my heart beats like I get super nervous just saying who I am.
Yeah.
I don't know why. Again, that's probably why I was nervous and still am talking to this thing. So that's the worst part, is introducing ourselves.
Yeah.
And then after that, I love process.
Yeah.
I love it. I love the first day when we're just up on our feet and we're starting to make choices and we're making entrances and exits and I'm writing in my book and I'm interacting with the people, with the other actors. That's the best. You know, that's why you do theater. Is to work with people.
What's your worst habit on stage?
I pause too much.
Is there a best piece of acting advice or direction that you've been given over the years that stayed with you?
In undergrad, there was one of my teachers there. He was just a mean old Irish guy, and he would and during rehearsals he would just be like, he'd get all red, and he'd just be like, "Do something." So do something was good. Because it's true, just do something.
Yeah,
I mean, like especially
yeah,
for younger actors, like you're on stage, you don't know what to do. Do something, right? Just do something. Because a director can't direct if the actors aren't if the actors are afraid to make mistakes, right? So really, what it's saying is, don't be afraid to go out there and make a few mistakes. Because then the director can go, oh, that was great. Or, no, that's exactly what we don't want, so now you can get that off the table. Either way, it doesn't matter. I feel like it's the actor's job to be giving the director a lot to think about.
When you're in a play, do you read reviews?
Yeah. My favorite review was not from a review that I got here. And since we all know that Kathy Allen does most of the reviews, I'll drop her name. But I thought this was one of the best things anybody ever said about me. This was about Oath. Wally's good when he talks. He's even better when he doesn't. And I was like, wow, that's what every girlfriend I've ever had has said to me.
What advice would you give your 18-year-old self?
Whatever has led me to this point, and the fact that I met Laura, it's all good. You can keep that in there.
Yeah. Is there a character you're completely wrong for that you'd love to play someday?
Yeah, like any person from a musical. Seriously, when I see somebody that can act, dance, and sing, I'm like floored. I like cry at their talent.
Is there anything you're especially looking forward to next season?
The first play is Sweat. I mean, I play a bartender that was in Vietnam in a working class neighborhood. Like, my dad was a steel mill worker. I'm a bartender. My dad was in Vietnam. Like, there's a lot of things that I feel like I can be able to, like, I know that. And it's always kind of fun. As much as I like to work on stuff that I have no idea about, it's also kind of fun to be able to bring that, like, life that I've lived or know about or seen very close to a play. I'm really, like, I'm looking forward to the Seafarer again. A drunk, blind Irish guy, like, and I'm in character. Flute. And here's where, because I was just telling Joe, every night I get to try and crack him up. So that would be my goal, is to make him bust on stage every single night.
Oh, poor Joe.
I know, because I'm going to do it.